It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Divas That Care. My name is Candace Gish. If this is your very first time tuning into the Divas, a huge welcome. We are in our 16th season. We are listened to in over 35 countries around the world, and it is because of all of our amazing guests, our hosts, our tribe out there that we're able to continue to do this, to have inspiring guests on our program. So I just really thank you for checking us out. Today, we're very excited. We're going to be doing a podcast series. We're actually working on a mini series, which serves as your blueprint for a high impact year, distilling success into three non-negotiables: goal clarity, resilience, and commitment. By sharpening your focus, hardening your mental toughness, and anchoring your habits in discipline, you'll shift from chasing temporary inspiration to achieving unstoppable year-long momentum. Today, I'm very excited to have on Sam Willing. And Sam has been trying to get onto the Divas I Care for a while here. And I just want to apologize because I know that all of our listeners out there would have really been inspired by her, honestly, just with everything that she's doing. But we're finally able to get her onto our program. And I'm so excited. So welcome to the Divas I Care, Sam.
Thank you so much. It is so amazing to be here. And I know you and I have tried to schedule through the holidays and all the craziness, but like we were just saying before we started recording, I think the timing is probably just right.
And you know what? I couldn't agree with you more. I'm excited. And I think it really aligns with what we're going to be talking about today.
Agree.
So, Sam, would you mind introducing yourself to our listeners today?
Yes, my name is Sam Willing. I live in Bellevue, Washington, which is just about 10 minutes outside of the city of Seattle. I have two grown kids. They're 21 and 24, and they are in San Diego, living their best life in the sunshine. And I am an executive coach, speaker, and I do a lot of culture strategic work inside organizations. So I spent about 29 years in corporate human resources. And for the last 14 years, I've had my own executive coaching business where I go come alongside leaders and equip them with leadership skills and help them build thriving organizations where people and culture thrive. And I just released my very first book called Regulate to Rise. That launched on December 4th, and it is about my own sort of epiphany around the link between effective, powerful, and sustainable leadership and nervous system regulation.
That is fascinating. I love that. And I really want to dive into this book a little bit deeper. But question I have for you is, how did you decide to get into HR to begin with? What was it the driving force that got you there?
It's so funny. I think when I started college, I actually was a hotel restaurant major. I had always dreamed of working in big, beautiful hotels. And I started doing internships in hotels about my second year in college. And one of the rotations that I did was in an HR department. And I just knew it was for me. So I knew that I was going to be in HR from the time that I was about 19 years old. When I look back now, I'm 50 now. When I look back now, I think it's not really a surprise that I ended up in HR. My nickname all growing up when I was a teenager and in college from my friends was the counselor. So I sort of was always that person that people would come to solve problems or get advice. I love helping people. I am highly empathetic, but I also always loved business. So the business of HR was sort of a natural fit for me. But I will tell you over the years, I think especially as I stepped into leadership roles in HR, and especially over the last few years, just with all the craziness in the world, there were many moments where I scratched my head and thought, why didn't I just go into sales?
No, I completely agree. And I love this story because it's quite fascinating. I always want to know how people decide to get into the jobs that they're doing
Yeah.
and their journeys. I find it quite fascinating because a lot of people, they don't realize. And I like that you were able to have that experience and then you were able to figure things out. We have a lot of the young divas out there that are trying to figure things out right now. And even with my kids being in college, they're like, what do we do? They were struggling with that because there's a
Yeah.
lot of opportunities out there, but they
Yep.
don't know which one's going to work for them.
Yes, I love that. And I think, one of the things for me that I realized over time was really, I've always been in human resources, but there was a very unique way that I showed up within that career path. So what I think always made me successful in my career was my ability to connect and interact and relationship build with others, and also the way that my brain likes strategy and business strategy and pairing that relational piece with the strategic piece. And so I think it is easy, especially when you're young, to sort of start in a career path and then stay there. And so, for anyone that's thinking about what they want to do, I would say getting to know yourself, what makes you come alive, what you love, and then exploring, but always being clear about your own brand, your own way that you show up. Because I think any profession can be, your ministry, so to speak, whether that's sales or HR, just the way that you interact and show up in the world is always going to be very unique to you.
I love that. Thank you so much. And having that mental toughness too. You probably go through a lot of different things in life and just trying to figure that out. And it's okay uh, to change your mind. I think a lot of people think, well, they've got to pick one career or they have to figure out one
Yes.
thing when they're younger and then that's what they have to stay with for the rest of their lives. But in reality, I don't think that happens very much anymore.
No, I don't think it does either. And I think when you start to sort of lay down a lot of the rules or the rigidity that I think some of us were taught when we were younger in a different generation, where it's like you choose your path and then you stick to the path, and there's sort of a little bit of guilt and shame that was associated with not sticking to the path, right? Um, I think now, there's so much more information, there's so much more emphasis put on, you know, passion and where you find energy, your unique calling in the world. And, those are kind of things I don't remember ever thinking about or having anyone ask me what I was passionate about. I think I finally asked myself when I was maybe in my 30s, but it just wasn't a common thing, and I think now for young people, it is encouraged. So I think the more we can encourage that and the more they can kind of find their lane, I think it really is such a beautiful thing. And not be so afraid to make changes. We get to
Yeah.
change and grow.
So tell me a little bit about this coaching, this executive coaching and your speaking, because I love that.
Yeah.
I love going to listen to speakers, to be honest. I love
Oh,
how and what they say. It always inspires me. It makes me feel like, okay, I can do it. I it gives me that confidence. So let's talk about your speaking and share with the people with our listeners today what you're doing.
yes. So the executive coaching that I do, it's funny, about a year and a half ago, I was in a role, I was chief people officer at a company in Seattle, and we were a biotech company. And biotech, I don't, for anyone listening that knows anything about the biotech industry, is really dynamic and wild. So I've spent a lot of time there. Companies that start in biotech have about a 90% failure rate. So it's sort of normal, sadly, for these companies to start experiencing high growth and fast pace. And then if something happens, they run out of money or their drug takes longer to develop than they thought, or they fail in some way, it's very normal for these companies to go out of business. So About a year and a half ago, I was laid off. I laid myself off, actually. The company I was with, we had a failure. We failed our last clinical trial. And when that happened, I had to organize a layoff for the company. And that included me and most of my executive colleagues. The company stayed and maintained sort of a very small skeleton crew. Um, and when that happened, I'd already been in the executive coaching business on the side for years, where I had walked alongside leaders, men and women, helping equip them with leadership tools, with life tools. Um, and when I was laid off, I decided to pause and really spend about 3 months thinking about what I wanted to do now. I knew that I wanted to be in coaching. I have always loved speaking. And one of the things that up to that point I had been asked to speak on the most was compassion and compassionate leadership and how that shows up in culture and in our lives. So I sat for about 3 months just in a sort of reflection and creation mode, and came to a couple of realizations. One, I decided that moving forward, I was going to focus my executive coaching on women. And two, I realized that in all the coaching work that I do, if I am not also teaching leaders how to regulate their nervous system, so manage their stress response, find a place of calm, find a place of peace in their lives, then when the pressure hits, the coaching, the leadership skills that I was working so hard to equip them with would not stick. And so those were kind of the two big epiphanies that I had. And the nervous system regulation work really was born out of my own journey through my career path, spending so many years very dysregulated in kind of this pursuit of perfectionism and performance and pushing and striving and exhausting myself, frankly, until I got to the point about 3 years ago where I lost my mom and was just swimming in grief. And it sort of turned everything upside down, and it led me into a lot of healing work and nervous system regulation work. And so I realized after getting deep into that work what a difference that made, not just in my life, but in the way that I showed up and led in organizations and in my coaching. So I started to roll that regulation work into the coaching work that I do with leaders, and the transformations have been incredible. So that's a little bit of a long way of answering your question. For when it comes to speaking, I love speaking about leadership. I love speaking about nervous system regulation and why it matters so much, not just in life, but also in leadership and how it works and how that happens. And I love talking about compassion. So anytime I get asked to speak to a lot of, at a women's conference or a women in leadership event, I get so excited because my passion at this point in my career and my life is really helping unlock women. Now, whether that's women in corporate spaces or new to career or college age, women in general, I just have such a deep desire to see them walking in an energy of freedom and energy and excitement and knowing their value. And yeah, that's what I love to do. And that really is what my book is about as well.
Well, and I love that because there is an evolution in leadership right now. It's been going on for, I don't know, over 10 years for sure. But we really see the shift in things that are happening. And the last 5 years, it's been extraordinary. And I think what you're doing, Sam, is really helping people with that mindset shift and change that they know is happening because the world seems to be doing that, but they don't know how to get there.
Yes, that's exactly right. They don't know how to get there. And so it's so interesting when I go speak to women. One of the things that I hear consistently from women, and a lot of the women that attend are C-suite women. I mean, they have sort of come up through the trenches. They found this amazing pinnacle of success by the world standards, and many of them are tearful. And after they will say, Now I feel seen and heard. I don't feel so alone. And the other thing that they all want is peace and joy. It's like, and there's this belief that peace and joy can't coexist in leadership, that there's this view is there's a, sort of this old view or practice of leadership where you're in the grind. And the most heartbreaking thing that I hear is when I am meeting one-on-one with a client who has built an amazing career, and she is burnt out, exhausted. She's sacrificed so much to get where she is. And, oftentimes they'll say, look, I just need to do this for a couple more years and then I'm out. And it breaks my heart because it's like their options to them are they stay in and suffer for a couple more years and then they're fully out. And to me, it's like, but then you leave right at the moment where the world needs you the most because you have
Yes.
all the wisdom, all the skills, all the insight, all the experiences to share, but you're so burnt out, you don't have the energy to give it. Right. And so I
Mhm.
just think there just has to be a better way. And like you said, we're in a leadership revolution. And I believe that and I want it to be true so badly.
Oh, I love this. This is so great. I'm having so much fun, Sam. I know that you're going to definitely be back on the Divas that Care because there's a lot of things that we can talk about just about that.
Yes, that makes me so happy.
Well, and now I want to kind of, because I know that we only have so much time here today, I want to talk about this book. And first,
Yes.
before we dive into your book, let's talk about your book cover
Oh,
because that
yes.
is beautiful. And I want to know what was the
You.
inspiration.
Oh my gosh. Okay, the book cover is so special. My daughter drew it, first of all. Um, so that is so special. And she's 24. She's in grad school getting her degree in her master's in clinical counseling. And the inspiration for it really is to be a visual representation of our nervous system. So the rooted, grounded energy and sort of the light energy traveling up and out from us. And it's that tree on the cover is means so many things to me. It is the way that energy flows up and out when we're rooted and calm. It's the way, when if you think about our nervous system, and this is probably a whole nother podcast, but we have the two parts of the nervous system that I talk about in the book are our sympathetic, which is our fight or flight, sort of like energy, big energy going out, and our rest and digest, our parasympathetic nervous system, which is that really rooted, grounded energy. And so that was the inspiration for the cover. And the truth is we need both of those systems. And in a perfect state, we would be toggling back and forth between those two systems all the time. But what's happened to us as a society is most of us have gotten stuck in that high upper energy, that fight or flight energy. We've normalized being in that fight or flight space so much that our bodies forget how to calm down, how to come down into that rest and digest energy. So that is the story about the cover.
Love it. It's beautiful. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
who is this book for?
This book is for everyone. So, the book, the stories, it's a blend of storytelling and science and then tangible, actionable resources for people. It's got leadership tools in there that I use with my clients, but it also, every single one of them are applicable to all human beings. So I say it's a book for human beings. It's a book for anyone that um, finds themselves in that state of fight or flight, of worry, of an inability to be grounded and calm. And they're curious about a different way to do things. So it is a fantastic book for leaders who are leading themselves and leading teams. But when I'm talking about leaders, of course, so much of the work that I do is with corporate leaders. But we're all leaders because we all have circles of influence, places in our lives where we have influence and the opportunity to lead, whether that be in our home, in volunteering, working in a nonprofit. We all have those spaces. So it's a book for human beings. And the feedback on it from people in corporate spaces and outside of those spaces has been fantastic. And quite honestly, if we could get this in the hands of the 20 somethings that are going to be our future leaders, that would be a huge win for them to be able to approach life and their work in a more regulated, grounded way.
I love that. That's perfect. And we do have a lot of young change makers that are
Yes.
part of the Divas That Care. So I appreciate you sharing with us about that because that is perfect.
Great.
So, Sam, where can our listeners go get a copy of your book? How can they go and follow you, check you out, and perhaps
Yes.
work with you?
Yes, I love that question. The book is available on Amazon in three different formats, and you can get it on Amazon. You can also get it and find me on my website, samwilling.com. There's an opportunity there to sign up for my newsletter so you can be up to date on speaking events and different things. And then my Instagram handle is Coach Sam Willing. One of the things that I'm getting a lot of interest in that's exciting is just last week we announced we're going to send out some resources and equip anyone that wants to have a virtual or in-person book club with some resources for that. So that might be something that some of your listeners are interested in too.
I love it when individuals like yourself come onto the podcast and they share that with us. And I love books. I have the opportunity to work with a local library here, and it's just so amazing. And especially when we get our book clubs reading new books, and they're always inspiring and sharing that with the rest of us.
Yes, I totally agree.
So, Sam, is there any last minute, maybe tips or tools, things to inspire our listeners?
Yes, what I would say to you is if I could tell you three things that you could do today to be more regulated, more calm, more grounded, it would be move, breathe, and have so much self-compassion. And the reason that the breathing and movement work so well is that when we are in fight or flight or in any sort of elevated state, we're getting a shot of cortisol into our body. And the thing that we must do is move the cortisol out. So if you feel physiologically elevated, like something's going on, I just want to encourage you, go take a walk, jump up and down, get on a treadmill, ride a bike, dance, anything to just shake the body and move that cortisol out. And the other fast way to do it is to really learn how to take those deep belly breaths and big sighs out and move that cortisol out of your body. And then the compassion piece, self-compassion is something that everyone needs more of. I really believe that every single person walking this earth has a unique calling on their life. And in order to fully realize that, we have to approach ourselves with so much grace, so much kindness, so much patience and love. And then that will pour out to everyone that we meet. And it really can change the world.
Yes. Yes, it can. Oh, thank you so much, Sam,
Thank
for coming
you,
onto the Divas That Care
Candace.
today.
Thank you so much. And just thanks for
Oh,
having me. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.
I hope you do also. And as I said, I hope you come back on. We have a lot of different
Anytime.
mini casts or mini podcasts happening this year, and we would love for you to be another guest on that.
Anytime. It's been such a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. And to all of our amazing listeners, thank you for checking out Determined, Not Distracted podcast series. So excited that we had Sam Willing on our podcast. And so make sure that you check out her book. Make sure you check out her website here. I love it. I'm going to be posting it on all of our social media for you guys to go and check out. So one of the things I always ask our listeners is if you could like, share, and comment. Make sure that you're sending this to your friends and family. This book is quite beautiful, guys. I think you're going to love just the aesthetic of it. You want to, I'm always a person that you never judge a book by its cover, but when you find a cover that really resonates with your soul, that's when you really need to pick it up. So this is an amazing book cover, and I want you guys to go check it out. And make sure that you send this podcast to all your friends and family. So, Sam, thank you again. Thank you to all of our listeners. And I hope that each and every one of you has an amazing day. Until next time, everyone.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.